This is slide 8, more accomplishments of the New Deal. And this will be the last of the accomplishments of the New Deal that we talk about here for the time being. So let's get started and talk about the TVA. This is the Tennessee Valley Authority. Tennessee Valley Authority. And this one, like many of the New Deal programs, is still around today. This is set up to provide electricity to homes in rural Appalachia. So the Appalachian Mountains of eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, and East Tennessee. Many homes in that area at that time didn't have electricity. And this was a way to build hydroelectric dams, hydroelectric plants on the rivers coming out of the Appalachian Mountains. So they could generate cheap electricity and get electricity to these homes for the first time. One of the concerns for private business and one of the hopes of government was that the TVA would provide some competition for private companies. Private businesses were not getting electricity to the people that needed it. They were overcharging the people that were getting it. So the government figures we'll get into the electricity generating business and provide some competition for these private companies. So the TVA, really good program, still around today, doing much of the same thing today that it did back then. Okay. Next, let's talk about a very, very, very important new act created here, the Social Security Act. Social Security obviously is still around today, is a huge deal, extremely important, and it is established in 1935 by President Roosevelt. And really, Social Security does three main things. It will provide unemployment insurance. So if you lose your job through no fault of your own, now it has to be no fault of your own. You can't just get fired because you suck at your job and expect to get help. But if you get laid off because your business downsizes, you lose your job, the government is going to step up and provide you money until you can find a new job so that you can continue paying your bills and so forth. So first thing it does is unemployment insurance. Second thing it does, it provides retirement payments. When you reach a certain age, and right now it's 65, when you reach 65 years old and you retire, the government is going to make sure that you get a monthly income to live on. And the third thing that it does is that it provides assistance for disabled people, handicapped. If you can't work because you are blind or you're disabled, if you cannot work, the government will pay you a monthly salary to live on. Now, where are they getting all this money? Well, they're getting it from you. When you get a job that you have to pay taxes on, the biggest tax that you're going to pay is your Social Security tax. Okay? So they will take tax money out of every paycheck to make sure that they can do all these things for you that we just said they're going to do. So for example, okay, let's look at retirement, because that's the biggest use of it. Retirement. How much money do you get every month for the government when you retire? Well, that depends on how much you made while you were working. The more you made and the more money that you paid in taxes, the more money you're going to get back when you retire. Okay? So that's how Social Security works. Still around today. Still a very big deal. Okay? All right. Let's talk here for just a little bit about the NLRB, which stands for National Labor Relations Board. National Labor Relations Board. Right? This is also known as, well, what they do is they pass what's called the Wagner Act. The NLRB, National Labor Relations Board, will pass the Wagner Act. Okay? And this one is going to guarantee the right of workers to be represented by the union. It's going to guarantee the right of workers to be represented by the unions. So owners have to negotiate with the union. They can't simply just fire employees because they want to. They have to negotiate by the union. Now, the guy running the National Labor Relations Board and representing all these big unions is a man named John Lewis. And this is Lewis down here, the scary-looking man with the gigantic eyebrows. Lewis is going to form a very powerful union known as the CIO. It stands for Congress of Industrial Organizations. Congress of Industrial Organizations. These are the big factories, okay? Automobile factories, railroads, steel, things like that. Congress of Industrial Organizations, okay? Founded by John Lewis. And one of the big things that John Lewis and the CIO is going to do is get past the Fair Labor Standards Act. Fair Labor Standards Act. We're up to 1938 now for this one. And the Fair Labor Standards Act, okay, is going to guarantee minimum wage of 40 cents an hour. So a minimum wage of 40 cents an hour and a maximum 40-hour work week. So a minimum wage and a 40-hour work week. These are things that Roosevelt had passed before, but then Supreme Court said, no, it's all unconstitutional. So now he's going to have to get them passed and approved by the states. And the states will approve this. Okay? Last thing we need to talk about here, sort of the results, and there's one really huge one here in terms of results of all of this work, is that labor leaders, union members, okay, are all going to become huge supporters of the Democratic Party. Okay? And still to this day, by and large, most all union members vote Democrat because of all the good things that Franklin Roosevelt and the Democratic Party did for them at this time.